Guys, welcome back to another episode of Beers and Stories. Thank you for joining us. We're here at Goldwater Brewing. You should definitely try this stuff. It's amazing. Today I have Stephanie Polydoroff.
Hi.
Say hello, everyone. First off, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and then just kind of, let's jump into a few things. So, I actually connected with Stephanie through Instagram. We were trading back and forth on kitchen cabinets, right?
Yep.
Yeah, fascinating subject.
Yeah.
And then I realized that you used to be working for someone in the wholesaling business, and now you've got your own thing.
Uh-huh.
Which is totally kick-ass, by
Yeah.
the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so I had to tell me, can you give us the 30-second version of like how you got to here? What's the backstory?
So do I look at the camera?
You can look at the camera.
So I was in hospitality for a really long time.
Okay.
I worked for the Hyatt.
Oh, wow.
For like 7 years, doing like events. I worked at the front desk, working events. This is going to be
Okay.
longer than 30 seconds, so
Totally
bear
fine.
with me. But so I
We have
did
plenty
that.
of beer. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'm gonna chug that. And I just didn't like it. I hated it. It was like a desk job. I
Okay.
always wanted to get into real estate, and then I was talking to a friend one time and
Yeah.
told him that I wanted to get into investing, and so he said that he had a friend that was investing that I needed to talk to him.
Oh, cool.
So then I connected with his friend, who I started working with him.
Okay.
What
What were you doing for the friend? Does the
So-
friend have a name? Can
yeah,
you
his
say
friend's
it?
name's Brian. And first I reached out to Brian and just said, I have some money I want to invest. Like,
Okay.
can I invest it? So he had a project that was going on, or that was about to start. So
Cool.
he said, you can invest in this. But then they noticed that I started sending them addresses of homes that I saw abandoned, stuff like that.
Oh,
I didn't
so
even know what wholesaling was at all.
Really?
Yeah, I had no
That-
idea.
No idea.
I had no idea.
You just jumped?
I don't
love
even know
it.
how. So I just started sending them like these houses, and so they're like, well, why don't you? Or I say they, because he was working with somebody at the time.
Okay.
But then I just started working with him, not the other person.
So Brian was actually buying the properties and then renovating them and then selling them.
Yeah, Brian-
Or was he
so-
wholesaling them himself?
So Brian actually, he has his own construction company.
Oh,
and so
nice.
now he has his construction company. Before he was doing just remodels.
Uh-huh.
So what he was doing is
I like it.
he was sending out mailers to pretty much cherry pick his deals.
Sure.
Not really to wholesale. So
Okay, so he was doing direct mail just to buy a property and then fix it up. So he was more like a wholesale.
yeah, well, I mean, he was doing like full-on remodels. So he was just he was
And then
sending
selling
out
the
mail.
like the turnkey ready home,
Yeah.
all beautiful.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
So then when I came on board, he was like, I'm going to put you on a mailer. And I didn't know what a mailer was. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Wow.
My phone started ringing off the hook. And then I was like, what do I ask? What do I say? So I'm like writing down notes as like people are calling me.
No kidding.
So I did that for a little bit. So with him, I worked with him for about 6 months. And so I was,
And when was this? Like, give us
This
what
was-
was the time frame.
I think February of last year.
Okay, so recently.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was about a year ago.
You don't mess around, do you?
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So, I was doing that with him, and I was just getting deals locked up. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I didn't have
I
any
love it.
training at all. I would just go to these appointments and just get deals. So they're like, all right, this is working out good. So I did that with him for a while. I think him and I did like 15 or 18 deals together.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so at that point, though, I
in a
liked
year's
it.
time or in 6 months?
Probably about, well, let's just call it a year. Well,
Wow, that's
actually like
pretty
8
good.
months, 9 months. Yeah, so
Nice.
I liked working with Brian. He was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Okay.
But then at that point, I was just kind of ready to do my own thing because
Sure.
just the percentage-wise, I could just go do it on my own.
Yeah. No, I get it.
A lot of people just end up wanting to go out on their own. So
Sure.
I kind of just started doing my own thing. So this is like the 30 seconds. I'm just
Yeah, you're
keep
you're
going?
totally fine.
Okay.
Although I do want to ask you, so when you're working with Brian, any like, because I love hearing these kind of stories. Like, so you're going over to appointments to log up deals. I know you had a weird one or two. No weird ones?
I mean, there was probably, there was like a crack den that we went to one time.
Yes. Tell me about the crack den.
But luckily, so I would go to these appointments by myself. And I would, like, I even now I go to appointments by myself, which is kind of
Okay.
sketchy. But this one, for whatever reason, or it was like a triplex in Phoenix. And so he was interested in
boy.
it. He wanted to come see it.
Uh-huh.
So him and his contractor went with me, or we all met there, thank God.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, so we met the tenant, we met this other like property manager of his, and
And which
there
one sold
was-
the crack?
oh, I don't even, probably both of them. I don't know. And so the landlord. Sorry, the landlord was like banging on the doors. There was people like sleeping in there. There was just weird stuff like needles on the bed,
Oh.
graffiti everywhere. It was disgusting. And then
Yeah.
I wouldn't really go in the house. I'm just like always scared, so I'm like, I'm not going in there. Like,
Arguably
Yeah.
a wise decision.
yeah. So, and then in the back house, I think one of them went in there, and then he came out. He's like, "There's a man hiding in that closet." I'm like, I would have lost my shit. But he like walked in, and then I guess guy was just standing in there, and he was just like, "Hey." And I was like, so I think that was like probably like the.
There's just a dude hiding in the closet.
Yeah, just standing in the closet.
Okay.
Like
Wow. You know.
Yeah, so-
we all make decisions.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep. So that happened. Did
you guys get the deal?
Oh, and then the lady came out. The lady that was living there and started screaming at us and like wailing her hands around. And I'm like, I like really don't want to fight this lady. Like, I hope she doesn't come at me. I was like, it's fine. And I was like, so luckily nothing happened, and
Wow.
we got the deal. And I don't.
Unbelievable.
It wasn't a huge deal, but we got the deal. Yeah. So I think that was
Yeah.
probably the most sketchy one.
Everyone's got a few of those.
Yeah.
You really see some shit when you go wholesale.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
do, for sure.
So,
Especially
all right.
in Phoenix.
So, yeah, no, and there's certain zip codes too that, you know, I used to work in where I just would say, no, I'm not going.
See,
It's
that's
just-
smart. Honestly, I don't know what zip codes would be like the really bad ones, so I would just go to every appointment, even
Oh
now.
my God.
So,
Yeah, you're brave. We did do one. I was with another guy from my office. I remember we had to go out on an appointment, and we definitely stopped by my house to grab a pistol before
Yeah.
we went, just in case.
Yeah.
You know, and we're a pair of dudes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing that.
yeah. I mean, I've brought my gun on one appointment with me,
Yeah, I mean, you know, you.
but I still won't go in if it's like sketchy and I'm by myself. Even if I'm like carrying, I won't go in.
Yeah, no, probably not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in. You've decided to go off on your own,
Yep.
right? So tell me, like, how did you decide to make that leap? Obviously, you saw the money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, I think it was like I was doing acquisition, or I was basically leads manager acquisitions. I was dispoing because he wouldn't keep all of the deals, and so he
Okay.
would kind of cherry pick what he wanted, and the ones that he would end up taking down himself to remodel, I'd get paid a percentage on it, like 3%, like what I would make as like a realtor fee.
Okay, gotcha.
And then everything else, I made a way higher percentage, but I was just tired of like I didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know what was going to happen, so
Sure.
that was
The
kind of like my
swings.
motivating factor.
Gotcha.
Of like me going off on my own. So I decided I
Okay.
ordered some bandit signs. And then
Really?
I
You
put
started
out,
with the bandits?
Yeah, I started
Did
with
those
bandit
work?
signs. Yeah.
Get
I made
out- they
17
worked?
grand, I think.
Oh my God. That's not normal, by the way. That is not normal. I hate bandit signs.
Yeah, so I made
Oh my God.
$17,000 the first, I think it was like within under a month. And so that just kind of like, I was like, all right, I'm out of here.
Holy shit,
So
are
I
you
started,
kidding?
Yeah, so I did
That's
bandit
amazing.
signs. And then,
Can you tell me about that deal? Like, what happened?
so
So someone calls you from a bandit sign.
yeah, a lady called me and had a property to sell like an hour and 15 minutes away. And so she wanted, I think, 30 grand for it. So I'm
30.
like looking, yeah.
And it was here in Phoenix?
It was in Whitman, Arizona.
Whitman, okay.
Yeah, so it was in Whitman, and so I looked it up, and 30 was a little bit high, but I was like, this can be a deal. She wanted to sell, I think it was abandoned, and she inherited it or something. It was just sitting there, and she was just like over it, wanted to
Yeah.
sell it. So then I got her down to like 27,000, and I signed the contract for like 30. I can't math. I don't know. I made $7 grand on
I
it.
can't
So-
math. You're like, just more. I
Yeah.
sold it for more.
I sold it for a little bit more money. So that
Wow.
was my first one, and then the second one was in like South Mountain area, and it
Okay.
was a lady that was living in her home. Her son wanted to sell the home. That was her
Yeah.
son's home.
Okay.
And so I made a quick 10 off that, and
Another bandit sign?
yeah.
Oh my God. So is that how you're doing leads now?
I actually just started doing bandit signs again this year.
Did you really?
Yeah. And
Okay,
it hasn't been like. What
I
it was
know
the
it's
first time.
super saturated.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
That's what I've seen. I mean, I actually almost put this up the other day. So I have a little commercial building right down. It's across the street from the Scottsdale Code Enforcement Office.
Where's that?
Right down there at 68th and Thomas
Okay.
by the coffee shop. So I was driving into the office to fix something the other day, and there was a code enforcement truck parked in front of their office, and the back was full of bandit signs that they'd taken down.
Okay.
And I wanted to take a picture
Yeah.
really bad. I didn't know how they were going to feel about it, but
You should've.
I wanted to say, listen, this is, I mean,
You
I don't
should
know
have
how-
interviewed him.
No kidding, but like, I don't know how much a bandit sign costs, but
Like $1.15 probably.
okay, well then there were probably a couple $100 in the back of this
Yeah, for
truck
sure.
that people had paid money for. So that's incredible that you actually got a deal off of it.
I did too, and
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I might have got more.
No
But yeah,
kidding.
this time I bought 800 signs.
Okay.
I have like 600. The guy who's doing them has 600 signs.
Wow.
So my goal is to do consistently 100 every Friday night.
Okay.
The
And
problem
do you
was-
go out and do those?
No, hell no. I have a guy who does it.
Okay.
The first time I went,
Yeah.
I drugged my boyfriend with me and had him like
Nice.
going out.
Rocking
and-
Friday
yeah,
night
I was
with a
like,
hammer
get
and
out of
some
the car. He's
nails.
like, this place is sketchy. I'm not getting out. I'm like, get out. You need to put it up. This is a good neighborhood. And it was actually the same neighborhood where that crackdown was.
Really?
And it was
Oh my
like,
God.
it was like that Friday night, and like I was at that house on Tuesday. I was like, oh wait, this looks familiar. I'm like, I know where we are. And there's like people walking around like shopping carts. It's like probably like 10:30 at night, and I was like, I don't care.
Oh
I'm like,
my
that could be a deal.
God, that
Yeah,
is
so-
amazing.
So yeah, I started doing them again.
Mhm.
I have been through 200 signs, no solid leads.
Yeah.
But with that, it's all about consistency. And
Sure. So let me just make sure, because a lot of people ask me this. So a couple bandit signs right off the bat, you made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Then you've been through 200 goose egg.
Yeah.
Wow.
This last time, but I think also
Okay.
it depends what area you're doing it in too.
Oh, of
I
course.
feel, and so like I haven't like tested anything yet. Now I'm kind of like gonna start testing.
Aha. So like I
Um,
put 50 over here and got nothing. I put 50 over here and got one.
Well, I'm just gonna go off full force, like 100 at least for like 4 weeks in that area. If I don't
Okay.
get anything, then I know that's a shitty area.
Sure.
So.
So how do you pick your areas? Just where you've done deals before, or?
I buy everywhere in Arizona.
Okay.
How I pick my areas, I wish I had some cool like way that I did it, but I don't.
No?
The
You
first,
just go.
the first time that area, I would like to go back out there. It's
Okay.
like the West Valley.
Sure.
But
Very popular.
I just have to find a person that will go travel that far. So the guy that I'm working with now, he's East Valley, so I'm having
Yeah.
him stay in the East Valley just because he drives the truck and it's like
Yeah.
it just makes more sense for him, and
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
fine. If I get deals in the East Valley.
Yeah, no, I
So.
get it. There's definitely a dividing line. I
Yeah.
barely go west of the 51 ever.
Yeah.
So it's not in my wheelhouse. Wow. So, what was it like transitioning off of? You were working for or with Brian or whatever you want to say. Like, what was that like saying? All right, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna go out on my own. Like, scary? Not scary? Just you did it, or
Not really scary. I don't know.
Really?
I don't.
you were
I don't-
tough, man.
I think too though. I had made like a decent amount of money with him that year.
Okay.
So I had money. Like I didn't have a lot of money, but I had money in my bank account to where I felt like okay. Like I knew I was gonna make my bills, and after I made 17 grand, I'm like I can do this. Like, and seeing
For sure.
like what we were getting deals by just him doing like
Yeah.
not that many mailers. I knew there were deals out there, and I know that I'm gonna get them.
Sure. And then so you learned all the ropes of the business from Brian, right?
Pretty much. I mean, the ropes of the business, what contract to use, what assignment to use,
Yep.
like the basics, yeah.
So he had all that stuff and you were able to learn it.
Yeah,
Wow. That is really cool. So,
yeah.
and so what's happened the past couple months, right? So you said you went on a losing streak, right? 200 signs, nothing.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
So, this was like this year. This was like the last 2 months. So that's
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah. So
Ouch.
bandit signs, and then I started doing direct mail.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of just fell off with bandit signs. I think I didn't have a good person, and that's the hardest part with bandit signs is finding somebody reliable.
You mean someone to put them out?
But yes,
Okay, so no more Friday nights with the boyfriend nailing stuff to
that
telephone
lasted
poles.
30 signs, and that was it. Never again.
Yeah. You'll be out there hunting another boyfriend if you
Yeah.
keep doing that.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah. I
that's a
stopped
different
doing
bandit
that.
sign, by the way. So if you put that in a different area. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
that's another episode we could talk about. But yeah, no. Right, so fell out of love with bandit signs, and now you're doing direct mail?
Then I started doing direct mail. This is like
Okay.
last year. So I was doing direct mail, getting deals from that, and then cold calling.
Yeah.
So I did a little cold calling last year.
How much do you love cold calling?
You know what though? Actually, maybe I worked with Brian the year before last. I can't even remember this one. Oh my God. I've been doing this for about 2 years.
Okay.
So it must not have been last year. It was the year February
Yeah.
before.
Hey,
so,
time flies when you're having fun,
yeah,
right?
that's so true. This is why I need to hire someone who's more organized than I am so they can keep my thoughts in line.
For sure.
But yeah, so I did cold calling. And what
Okay.
was your question?
Yeah, how much did you love cold calling?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Loved it.
Come on, tell me
Yeah.
more.
No,
Everyone's got cold calling stories.
I did it like consistently, probably for a month, like 10 hours a week. That's all I had in me. But I
Sure.
had made a decent amount of money, and then
Really? So you were getting deals off that?
I was, yeah,
Nice.
last year. Now this year things have changed because
Okay.
more people are calling, and it's just a little different.
So what's the new strategy?
So right now I am doing direct mail.
Okay.
The new strategy is honestly just to stay consistent with all my marketing.
Okay.
Because last year I was.
That's a really good strategy.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you do.
Yeah,
you gotta,
exactly.
You got to do it every day.
Pick it and stick it. That's what you're supposed to do.
Nice.
Yep.
Somebody write that down. So pick it and stick it.
Pick it and stick it. So direct mail, I'm back to doing direct mail.
Okay.
I've upped my direct mail to do like
Awesome.
over 10,000 pieces a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that expensive?
Yeah, I'm spending like $6,000 on it.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're making that back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I got my two biggest deals have come from direct mail.
Okay.
In my career, my history of
Yeah.
wholesaling.
So when you say a big deal, like what does that mean? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So the first one I got was $55,000.
55 grand
Yeah.
off a direct mail deal? Good God.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's that low-hanging fruit. They call you, and the lady
Sure.
called me, and she was like,
Wow.
she called me, and she's like, oh, I know what I want to get for my house, but I know you won't give it to me. So I'm like, I have Zillow pulled up as she's talking to me, and she's on speakerphone, and she's like, I want, it's 170, and the Zillow estimate was like 320 or something, and I was like, I'll be over tomorrow. So I ran over to her house the next day, got it under contract. It was in Phoenix, like 2006 build. It was a townhome. It was like perfect condition.
Wow.
It was an unreal deal.
So why did she want out?
She just, I don't even know. Her real motivation, I think, was just she had roommates. The house is too big. She was just tired of like having such a big house. Yeah, she was just ready to downsize.
Come to down. So
and she just was having a moment where she's like, "That's it, I'm doing it." And so
Yeah.
I
Wow.
happened to be the person in front of her when she decided to sell.
It's crazy. You know, we talk about this at at the office summit. Just we call it the timing bubble.
Yep.
And it's just like what you were talking about earlier. You're being consistent with stuff, just throwing it out and throwing it out and throwing it out, because everyone has those moments, right? Like they have the fuck it moment. They're like, fuck it, like I just need out, and the person who's there to help them, it's like this crazy random rotating ball of whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're there, I mean, 55 grand off one deal, that is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is all about timing. So
did you go out and like
timing.
celebrate or have a party that night, or
Oh,
did
God,
you just get back to work? You went out
I
partying.
I probably spent like went to Lululemon. I don't know, like went out or something.
Oh, that place is dangerous. I've literally been once.
I probably spent my
And it
whole
wiped me out.
$55,000 between now and when I got paid. So.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I believe it. You know, the wholesale game is, you know, it's easy come, easy go. You know, people have made a lot of money. I know fewer people who have managed to keep it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I can find another deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's. I mean, luckily I'm not that bad. Like I spend a lot of my money on marketing. I spend like my expenses every month are like super high, and my credit card is like really high right now to some people, but I know I'll make it back. But so I try not to spend a lot of my money.
I understand.
Yeah.
So how do you? And this is more of almost like a personal question, because the same thing happens to me. Like I'm in the middle of a renovation right now on a fourplex, right? So that's 4 kitchens, 4 bathrooms, 11 air conditioning units, right? So So, like, how do you weather? I mean, I have, you know, some days I'll look at the credit card and I'm like, oh shit, I owe 20 grand.
Yeah, that's literally what I have on my card right now.
And then they're like, I mean, I could pay it barely, but like, how do you weather those swings? I mean, you know, I lift weights and drink beer. Like, that's how I go.
Yeah, same.
And talk to people.
Maybe
same
not
deal.
beer, but yeah.
Yeah.
drink.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Exercise
go
and
to the
alcohol.
gym.
I like it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, the swings are something that not a lot of people talk about, you know, where it's like, I mean, to me, when I first got it, like, that stuff was gut-wrenching. I'm like, holy crap, that's so much money.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It might not be smart, but I have a decent amount of money saved up in my bank account at all times.
Insanely smart, actually.
Well, but I know. But some people would maybe argue, like, put that money towards something that, like, pays returns or whatever. But I have an amount that makes me feel comfortable. Okay. And when I know I have that in my bank account, I don't care if I have 20 grand on my credit cards, because I know that, like, deals are going to come in and that's going to be paid off.
And your bills are covered. You can hit the grocery store. You can pay the mortgage. You can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm cool with that. Yeah, I always just make sure I have like a certain amount, and if it goes below that, then I get a little worried. But even that, because some people might be like.
Sure. Yeah, everyone's got their kind of personal threshold. Yeah. Some are lower than others. I mean, I remember sitting and having beers with a banker friend of mine and like telling him about some of the things that I'd gone through, and his face just went white. He's like, "Oh my God, dude, there's no way. How do you do that?" I'm like, "Well, this is what happened after."
Yeah, I think you just kind of have to like. You can't think like that, honestly. Like that, like obviously it happens. Like it definitely happens. And you're like, oh shit, like I'm not gonna be able. I'm never gonna get a deal. I'm not gonna be able to well, I've never felt like I haven't been able to pay my bills, but I'm sure people have those feelings, and then like you just can't think like that because things are going to come in. And I also think that goes with like your mindset. Like if you're thinking that you're focusing on what you don't have, the lack, then you're cutting off the other things that can, like,
I love that.
attract you.
Like you literally have to, I mean, what do they call it? Manifesting it,
Exactly.
I guess? You're like,
manifesting is strong.
Yeah?
I'll tell you that, yeah.
I mean, clearly it's working for you. So.
Well, I mean, I haven't been doing it, and I don't know why I haven't, because like I go on stints where I like will do affirmations and like I guess manifesting, which is just kind of like affirmations and like gratitude and all this stuff. And when I'm actually applying that in my life, I'm not kidding you. Like that's when that $55,000 deal came in. 100%. Like the night before. I just started doing affirmations and like talking about all this stuff, and
that's incredible.
It was like the second time I'd ever been door knocking, and probably the last time was that day. And so I'm like knocking, and that's when my phone rang, and that's when that lady called, and I was like, holy shit, it's magic. I'm like, this is magic.
That is amazing.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I noticed a difference in my life, and so
I love that.
Why I don't do it consistently, I don't know.
Hey man, what'd you say? Pick it and stick it?
Yeah.
You gotta you gotta do that.
I know.
Wow, that is too cool. So how long have you been out on your own at this point?
Okay. So it was like August of 2017.
Okay. That's when you went out on your own.
That's when I went on my own. So I've been at it a little over, so like a year and a half almost.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
So very good. So what's been the toughest part of being out on your own?
Just again, consistency. Just like I think just staying motivated, and I don't know, it's just being consistent with it. Sure. I'm not a very analytical person, or I'm not a very like systems oriented person, so like I don't have that stuff under lock to where it like automates itself.
So you're living a work ethic right now. Yeah. Which is totally commendable, by the way, because it's not easy to do. Yeah. So,
But I think just like the whole thing about like when you stop marketing, leads stop coming in.
Sure.
And so like December I didn't send out any marketing, and so if I'm working on right now passing that off to like a VA to start ordering my marketing and tracking it, because those are not my strong suits. So it's like putting her in place, and then once that consistency happens, then it'll just more deals will come in. And
no, I love it. I mean, consistency. When I've worked, because I've honestly never wholesaled on my own. Like seriously, kudos to you. I thought about it, and then I know how much work is involved. I'm like, I'd rather paint a rental property and collect money. Yeah. But it's the people that I have worked with in the past, and the really successful teams it's the same thing. They're not scared to spend money on marketing. Yeah. They buy massive amounts of data. They send out mail. The big one that's going around right now is all the text message marketing.
Yeah, the text blast.
Which I built out a system for a guy last year. It didn't really go anywhere for him because he wasn't consistent. But that seems to be a theme. They put it out there every week, or they have metrics that they have to hit, and they're very. I'm not a systems, or I'm kind of like you. I'm like, oh, we'll just figure it out. Yeah. It somehow works.
It does. It works. But then
But yeah, the ability to do something like that consistently is huge. Yeah. So
I think that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah.
So I know that's my biggest struggle. Everything else, I mean, just that's it. I feel like once I master the consistency of it, and I plug a couple people where they need to be, like then it'll just get a little
nice. So what's next for you? Like, are you looking to grow, or you love doing this on your own, or you want a team,
no,
or you want to retire to Fiji, or what you got going?
All the above.
Yeah? Okay.
No, I think so. Right now I'm working on like this yesterday. Literally, all I did, I was at a coffee shop, and I just started putting together like directions on how to order my marketing.
Sure.
And so I'm putting basically like a little guide together for a VA to start
a very
tracking.
solid use of your Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So tracking and also ordering my marketing. So that's gonna happen no matter what. And then the second part is hiring a leads manager. Because if I'm sending out, like I sent out over 10,000 postcards last month, and there was a solid week of where I was just like on the phones. And I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't want to I want to have a life too, and I can't do that forever.
Yeah, and you have to be, like I remember when we were running really big call volumes, you're just on call all the time. Like the phone rings, you have to answer. I don't care what you're doing. I mean, my girlfriend hated it because, and I'm sure your boyfriend's the same way. It's like, Jesus, are you picking up your phone again? Yeah. You're like, yeah, that's money calling. Yeah. I have to. Yeah. Like, unless you're going to support me, then no, I don't have to take this call. So, but yeah. Okay, so we're gonna grow and put some systems in place, and then in terms of real estate, like you obviously have a talent for wholesaling. Like it's not everyone that can work for some dude named Brian for 6 months and then get it done. Like I'm serious,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. So what's next? Are you gonna continue to wholesale? Are you trying to move into something else, or?
I think
What's on the horizon?
this year, I don't know, at least for the this next year is just getting people to come in to help me and create a small knit team. I'm like
Sure.
right now I'm good. I don't want to grow and have like 10 cold callers, and I just want to have like a small knit,
Yeah.
consistent leads coming in. Like my goal is to do
Sure.
4 deals a month this year.
That's beautiful, and that's
Yeah.
like the thing is that's an incredible living, right? Like if you can do 4 deals a month as a kind of a solo operator,
Yeah.
you're good. I mean, that's that's vacations. You can buy a nice house. Like you can really cover the basics well.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's this year, and then so I just every year I hope to just kind of double what I did the year before.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Oh.
that's where I'm at right now. And then in terms of, I do a lot of wholesaling.
Okay. So what's for those who don't know?
Sure.
Tell me about a wholesale, because I've seen them done. I've never personally done one.
Yeah. So
what's that?
Wholesaling basically is, and wholesaling works usually for licensed. So wholesaling
Meaning
is
have a real estate
you have a real
license?
estate license.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am licensed. I'm a real estate license. I stay away from traditional. Traditional is just so much work, and it's like just a pain in the ass. So I like wholesaling or wholesaling, and even wholesaling is a pain in the ass because there's paperwork, and I hate paperwork.
Sure.
But anyways,
And construction work, which is also a pain in
and
the ass.
construction work. Yeah, typically I like to find deals that don't really need a whole lot of work,
Okay.
and hopefully I can just like literally buy it the next day, put it on the market, not touch anything, or
Really?
paint carpet. Paint carpet's easy. I've knock
Yeah.
on wood, never had a problem with like paint carpet. It's like
Yeah.
the simplest
We called
form
it
of a remodel.
we called it the CPA remodel. It's carpet, paint, appliances.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
it.
Exactly.
Right?
That's like
New-
that's like everything I
Yep.
look for.
White walls, gray carpet, stainless in the kitchen. See ya.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I like it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of that, but what it is you find a deal, and sometimes if you get a deal and you don't have it low enough to be able to wholesale it, and everyone knows what wholesaling is, right?
Wholesaling?
Wholesaling.
Most people. I mean, I love hearing everyone's definition of it because we all I did it for 2.5 years.
Okay.
So what do you call it?
Basically, wholesaling is you find a deal ridiculously lower than market value, and then you're like the middleman. You find the deal,
Yep.
and then you pretty much sell the deal to an investor, but you mark up the price however much you can, like you think you can mark up the
Think you
price.
can get away with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then that person buys the deal, and you get paid out, and the seller gets paid out. So
I like
that's my version of it.
That's a very good version.
Yeah. So wholesaling basically is you get a deal under contract. There's not that much spread on it, so there's not that much profit on it. So
Sure.
you can't really mark it up and then sell it to somebody. So.
Yeah.
But the other version is taking it down yourself, buying it, and then just relisting it on the market.
So how do you do those with the financing? Because everyone always asks that question. Do you use hard money? Do you use a real lender?
Yeah, I use hard money. So I
Okay.
have 2 people that do hard money. One guy, I mean, it's just so easy. I have, I just shoot a text saying, hey, can you lend on this? They look at it. 2 seconds later, yes, I can. No, I can't. And that's
Wow.
it. That's with my one guy with like, one of my guys. The other one's more
But
of a
you have done
company.
business with this person before.
Yeah,
They
but
know
that's
you.
literally like the first time I texted him. I said, hey, so-and-so referred me. Can you lend on this? They looked at it, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
cool. But the second, now I just
And how much do you have to put down on those properties?
0%.
0.
But the interest rate, the kicker is
Is-
it's 18%.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because my goal when I wholesale these properties is to hold on to it if I'm using that lender no longer than 2 months.
Sure.
So
So you just factor that cost in. You're like, all right, this is going to cost me $5,000 to hang on to, so I need to make 10 or 20
yeah,
on it.
exactly. So wholesaling is I buy the deal. I have a private person that pays the or will lend me money to buy it, and then I either do nothing to it because it doesn't need any work, it's in good shape, or I'll put paint, carpet, like you said, the CPA,
CPA
put it
remodel.
on the market, and then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I've been doing a lot of those deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last.
If you're serious about texting, so you know peoplefinders.com, their industrial arm is called Informian. They specialize in cell phone numbers.
Okay.
You can establish your own account with them. $500 a month will get you everything you need.
And it's good data?
Oh yeah, that's what I use the texting platform off of for 3 different markets, and it's fucking solid.
So your texting platform, you still have it. Do you have to pay anything for it, like personally, to keep it?
No, I built it for the guy, and it's literally just off the shelf stuff. Like I could set you up one or just tell you how to do it.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, no, it's all off the shelf technology.
Well, that's why I'm hiring a leads manager, because like just to take even those like 10,000 like direct mail, and then I can handle like the text messaging, and I could like handle
You
that.
say that.
Well, Jared told me I could, so I was like, okay, I could do it.
I love Jared to death. He is fucking insane.
I remember walking into the Hyatt for work, and I was texting Jared. I'm like, hey, Jared, I want to get into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Puppies,
let me-
they're everywhere.
Oh my god.
Love it.
I say we bring a dog on the show. Like, we need to have like a dog.
You have a dog?
No, well, yeah, I do.
You do?
Uh-huh.
What kind of dog?
Miniature pincher mix.
Nice.
And a Wheaten Terrier.
I love it.
Yeah, he's cute.
I got a little rescue mutt about that big
Aw.
named Gidget. Yeah, she's a little shithead. I love her.
I love the mutts. I think mutts are like the cutest.
Yeah.
They look like they have a story to tell. That is the
Yeah,
cutest.
Gidget has this like crooked ass tail and it wags really slowly. Cracks me up. So,
Crooked tail.
Yeah.
I know, but I was saying before I got distracted. I think I have ADD. But I was saying how.
you do. I do too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I was walking into work and I remember texting Jared and being like, hey Jared, I want to get into real estate. Like, can I come work with you? And he's like, well, you don't even need your license for what I do. Like, we're just handwriting a bunch of letters. Like, we don't need help for now. So this was like right when he was like starting to work with like Jesse.
So when I started working with Jared and Danny and Jesse and all them, we were at Danny's kitchen table.
Yep.
Like the first deal I locked up for him was in Florida somewhere. They're like, hey, lock this up for this price. And they didn't think I was going to do it. And I picked up the phone. I'm like, okay, I got it. And Danny's face just went white. She's like, what? I'm like, I got it.
One of their first deals?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I fucking got it at the price you needed. So what do I do now? She's like, I don't know.
What were you doing with that? Did you like come on like?
So I met Jesse, and do you know Brian Roberts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met Jesse and Brian at a
Brian's
meetup.
the one that you gave the texting thing to?
Oh, no, this is a different
Okay.
Brian. I know a lot of Brians.
Okay. Yeah, Brian.
So I met Jesse and Brian Roberts at a meetup, and I was talking about, I was doing Airbnbs at the time, so like 4 or 5 of them around Old Town, and I met them at a meetup. Jesse's like, who is this loud motherfucker?
You?
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's up? He goes, you need to meet, like, we're starting a real estate company and you need to come on board.
That's funny.
I'm like, okay, because I was fully invested in rentals at the time, so like I'd spent all my money and they were producing money every month, but it wasn't enough. Like I hadn't built a portfolio. I'm like, well, fuck it, I need a job.
Yeah.
These people seem cool. And Jesse and Brian showed up to a meetup with a 12-pack of beer. Like, I'm in.
To a meetup? What meetup? Brandon Simmons?
No, this guy, do you know Bob Essler?
No.
So Bob owns LD Funding. They do private notes. They like trade mortgages and shit. He's a total finance geek. He's a really nice guy. He knows that stuff. If you ever want to go truly passive in real estate, fucking talk to Bob, because you buy and sell debt on properties.
Oh, like the notes. Yeah, notes
so
is like its own. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's like the high level kind of esoteric financial stuff.
Yeah.
But they, so I met them there, and then I met Danny and Jared and Hillary and all those guys.
That's funny.
And then worked with them for a couple years. I went to Mexico. I do a motorcycle trip to Mexico every year. We ride down Baja, so like ride to Cabo and shit. And I came back, and Jesse had been bought out of the company.
Yeah.
It was like,
You're like, what the fuck?
because he was my direct report.
Oh, really?
I'm like, so I was, working with Jesse, because I was on the acquisition side. And I come back, and they're like, well, Jesse's gone. Okay. So then I stayed with them. That was in April. I stayed with them probably through September. Then they almost actually bankrupted that place.
Yeah.
They came very close to it.
Because they just, was that when you just needed to like, they had so much shit going on, like leads and all this stuff?
They hit the red button. So myself and then a guy named Chris Canali. I don't know if you ever met him, like big aggro Jersey guy. I'm trying to get him to come do this too. It's fucking hilarious.
What does he do? Wholesaling?
So he came from the private money world. He used to sell hard money. Was in wholesaling for a little while, and then I think he's back in private money now.
I feel like private money, maybe that's like long term. I don't know. Private money is like where the fuck it's at. The amount of money these people make, it's wild.
You're paying them 18%.
Yeah. I
So.
mean, and I only use them for like under 100 grand for the most part, but like I'm not the only one using them.
Do you use bench too? Bench
I
equity?
I just started using, I just started using Capital Fund 1.
Okay.
I don't think that's a bench company.
Nope.
But that one was like 20% down, and then you get like my interest rate's like 11.5 or something.
Yeah.
Which isn't horrible.
So if you need rental funding, there's a company I've been working with, 20% down, and if your lease will cover the P&I, they'll fund you.
Really?
At like 6.5%. Long-term 30-year fixed money.
this one that I have over here in Phoenix, I like kind of want to keep, and I didn't want to have.
But
well,
you got to have 20% down.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're shady fuckers. They charge you like 1.5 or 2 points, and they're selling off the loan fast. Like Morgan Stanley's bought both of them. But yeah, if your leases cover the P&I, they'll fund you. It's quick too. Like so, a 525 when you move into commercial lending. So commercial real estate loans are only good for 5 years. Then you have to refinance them, right? So it's the equivalent. You know what a 5-1 arm is? Okay, so what that means is when I got the loan for the commercial building, the interest rate is fixed for 5 years. Mm-hmm. At the end of 5 years, the loan technically balloons.
Are you guys gonna stay for a second?
Yeah,
I'll have another. Do you want food though?
We'll just eat that.
Okay.
So the loan technically balloons after 5 years, meaning you have to pay it all off.
In 5 years, that's like nothing.
Exactly.
So 10 years total, you have to pay off your.
No. So what happens is at the end of 5 years, rather than ballooning it out and be like, hey, we need a check for 250 grand, they just refinance the loan.
Okay.
So, do you know how amortization tables work? Like mortgage am?
Not really.
So the short version is, in the first 10 years of a regular, like a vanilla ice cream, 30-year fixed rate mortgage, you don't pay diddly shit for principal for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So what happens with commercial real estate is you never really pay the loan down. So like those 5 years are the super interest heavy years in the amortization table. So 525 means it's a 5-year loan, but it's amortized over 25 years.
Okay.
So you basically are just paying a fuck ton of interest, then it refinances, and you pay another fuck ton of interest for 5 years.
Damn.
So you're incentivized to get them paid off as quick as possible. So like once the fourplex is done, I'm going to try to get one more apartment building, and then all the profits from all the rental properties are going to go to the commercial loan to just pay that fucker off. Like, here's $5,000 a month for as long as I can afford it. Like, I'll just eat ramen, and then, but then I have a
just come here and eat popcorn. You'll be good.
But then right, like $7 beer, free popcorn. Yeah. But then you have a paid off commercial building.
So, can you not find like private financing for that? That's
I'm
just
trying
more...
to work on that. So I approached the bank I've used is a local bank up in North Scottsdale, and they love writing C-class commercial. So C-class is anything typically done by age. Like right now, C-class would be anything built 1990 or before is considered C-class commercial, unless it's had like a crazy upgrade. So so they write a lot of C-class commercial, and I approached them because the building, I got it for like a smoking deal. Right,
the commercial building? Where is that?
Like
you said?
half of market rate, 68th
Nice.
and Thomas. It's right by Echo County.
Oh, the duplex or the fourplex. I'm sorry.
This is an 8-unit office building.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I put a lot of work into it, but like it's fully rented, it's solar powered. Like I went crazy on it. But more or less, like I offered them a 10-year loan deal where like I will pay this building off in 10 years because it makes that much money. Like, dude, you can basically have all my operating capital and I'll figure out my own life. And they wouldn't do it. They're like, no, we don't want to fix an interest rate for 10 years. So I'm looking around for private funding. Like if I could find a 15 or 20-year private note at a decent interest rate, I would totally do it. But I mean, I'm not paying someone 10 or 12 or 18%. That's bullshit.
Crazy.
But if I could find fixed money at, in the 6s somewhere, 15 years, like no one's going to retire. But if you want guaranteed return with Arizona commercial real estate collateralization, done.
Can you do like, how much is the loan amount?
I think right now I owe like $272 on it. It's probably worth $680, $700, somewhere in there.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a really good deal.
Wow, that's crazy. Do you find that on the MLS?
Found it on loopnet.com.
So LoopNet's kind of like a secret, I feel like.
LoopNet is where fucking deals go to die. That's where, like, LoopNet, I've got a friend who's in commercial real estate. He's like, LoopNet is basically like a bowl of turds. Like, it's shit, and everyone thinks it's shit.
Because everyone's overpriced.
Yeah, he's like,
just sits there
if you're
forever.
like a newbie, dipshit, wet behind the ears commercial real estate agent that doesn't know your ass from the hole in the ground, you like list stuff on LoopNet.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, I looked at LoopNet every day for probably 6 months.
Because you knew that there was like maybe something you could offer on?
Well, my whole theory is, right, like when I first got into real estate, I made mistakes. When you first got into real estate, you probably fucked up, right? So I'm like, okay, if LoopNet is where new brokers list stuff, that's where the fuck ups go. And eventually someone's gonna fuck up and I can make some money.
Yeah.
And I had to look for like 6 months. And what's funny, the broker who listed that building that I bought is named Justin. We won't name any last names. He works for the same brokerage firm that my residential agent works for, and they know each other. Justin kills it, right? Like 7-figure book of business, just murder stuff every year. He got this listing like a pocket deal, like didn't care. So he didn't port it over to the real commercial MLS. He literally threw it on LoopNet and went to Maui for 2 months to do whatever Justin does in Maui.
Did he not see the value in it?
No, he doesn't care. Like this guy
because he just so much money.
This is a 2,500 square foot dump in the bad part of Scottsdale, and this guy lists like
bad part of Scottsdale.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the bad part of Scottsdale.
It's the bad part of Scottsdale.
It's the closest thing we have to the ghetto, right? Like it's all relative. But literally, like this was just a turd that he didn't want to deal with, and I found it. So it was an inter brokerage deal. So I had my agent talk to Justin's assistant because Justin's off on the beach in Maui drinking wine. He's not doing shit. And we got it done. Seller carry 10% down.
Holy shit.
At 50% of market value.
So 10% for how long? 10 years, you said?
No. So I got the property. The initial note that I structured was 10% down, interest only for 18 months. But it was a tiered structure. So originally we had to put like 32 G's down. They financed 300 grand at 8% interest only. So it was like 2 G's a month interest only. Then we had another property on the market that was going to net about 70. So I'm like, all right, I'll pay you 60K principal pay down, and then you drop my interest rate to 7.
Okay.
So then we were at 7% interest only. So my payment dropped, the cash flow went up because the numbers wouldn't work for a commercial lender. It didn't have enough rent and the expenses were too high, so it wouldn't cover DSCR. And so I had to readjust everything. So I'm like, all right, during the construction phase, when I'm like renovating everything and leasing it out and like getting the building straightened out, we had owner carry with a tiered interest rate structure. So I told the regular bank, I'm like, hey, give me a year to straighten this piece of shit out, and I'll come to you, and then we'll do a loan because I'm going to have all the equity in it, and it'll fit your model. And they went, okay.
So why do you need the bank, though? That's what I'm confused about.
Because the bank will provide permanent. They wouldn't do a loan any longer than 18 months.
Oh, okay.
So the seller carry was 18. They're like, we're not doing a fucking day longer.
Yeah.
So and if it's
what was their pain? Like, why they need to sell it?
So they repoed it. The private lender repoed it from an old man. He and his wife owned it. They used to own like 4 buildings on the street. His wife, they were old. Like his wife had a stroke, and she kind of ran the place. And he was like this super nice old man. And as I joke, like the building's mostly full of like people in the beauty industry. So like hairdressers, estheticians, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I joke to my friends, I don't know if that's on or not, but like I basically bought like a titty bar with no titties. So I had like all the drama of a bunch of crazy ass women in a building that are literally neighbors, and they're all just nuts, and they like scream at each other and they scream at me, and none of them are nice. And so I had to boot out some of the old tenants. Like I had to get rid of like some of the busted old strippers, right? For the record, no one strips there. Like there's nothing bad.
Keep your attitude in check.
But the building was kind of sketchy. Like it had a sketchy reputation because Bob, the old man, like he didn't enforce any of the rules. He had this like stepson that was a crackhead, like lived in a shack in the back.
Is he still alive?
Not that I don't know. I've never
I'm just
him.
wondering if he has other properties that.
No, this was his last one. They lost it to the bank. So yeah, nice try. I know. So I got to the lender, did a little bit of like Jared and Danny style research on the lender and like what's their business model.
Yeah.
Because the first offer I brought to them, they went, fuck you. So I'm like, okay, go home, lick my wounds. Did a little Jared and Danny style recon. I'm like, okay, this is how they like to lend money. So I structured the deal like they wanted it and went back and they went, okay.
Nice.
And then my other one is I have a running average. So whenever I get a property into escrow, I write construction reports, like a building condition report. I have a template on the computer, and I've been around the construction industry a long time, like building things, and like man, like I know it cold. So I write these reports. My average right now is $1,000 a page in concessions. So like if I write a 4-page report, I usually get $4,000 off.
Nice.
If I write a 2-page report, it's usually 2. So that's my average is $1,000 a page. And I use that on every property that I've ever bought. Like the fourplex, I think I got like 28 or 30 grand off in escrow. I dropped it so low.
How long was it on the market for?
5 days.
And they still went for like did all this shit?
Yeah.
Because of like how detailed it was, or like they're like kind of got
how detailed
scared.
It was. I put a plumbing bit in there, and then the icing on the cake. And again, like as I say, I'm a really nice guy unless we're talking about money, in which case I'm an asshole. Because I was a professional asshole for Jared and Danny and all these guys for years, right? Like that's what they pay. They're like, be a dick and get us some money. I'm like, okay. So the big one with multifamily and commercial is like it's a condition of the sewer main. So I camered it, and I had a video of the sewer, and it had roots, and it was all bad. And I'm like, dude, if you don't take what I'm offering you, I'm gonna put this video on YouTube with the property address.
Oh my God, you like threaten them?
And it's public information, and every person that looks at this after me, you have to disclose that the sewer main's bad. This is public information now, or you could just sell it to me. And they sold it. But I got them down so far in escrow that we were below the federal guidelines for concessions for loans, so we had to redo all the loan paperwork like 3 days before closing.
What's the 4,000?
It's a percentage. This was residential, but it's a percentage. But we got so far below the percentage, we had to redo all the loan paperwork.
Oh, damn.
The escrow officer's like, "Fuck you! I hate you." I'm like, hey, I have a lot of money.
That's interesting though. Is that like something you should do? Getting the sewer line checked out if you're
every
on
time.
Any house, even like a single family home.
Every time.
It's funny. Brian, the guy I used to work with,
yeah,
mentioned that because like he had a client or he had a friend that bought a house with him when he first started. And he said, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and the sewer was all
bad.
messed up. So how do you get that? Is it an extra inspection?
Yeah. You have to pay for a camera inspection. So a plumber comes out and they thread this camera. So on the roof of every property is something called the main stack. So like, you know how like you can put your finger over a straw and like pick water up? So the main stack in a building lets air flow down the sewer so the water and everything else that goes down the sewer will go away. So you stick a camera down the main stack. It's like a waterproof lit up camera, and you put it down the pipe and it shows you what's going on.
Huh.
It's a couple $100.
Is that kind of common to have sewer problems? And nobody even knows it.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do the problems actually like create a bigger problem?
I said this on a podcast that I was on a month or so ago. The morning after Christmas, at 7 a.m., I was literally power washing human shit in my fourplex.
Oh God.
So yes, it creates problems.
Oh,
It was a 1962 build, and the sewer main backed up because it had roots, right? So
the fourplex that you bought?
Fourplex.
The one that you got all the money deducted?
Yeah, for the sewer.
So did you get it fixed or no?
Yeah, so here's the trick on sewer mains is that this particular problem was roots, so there were plants that had grown into it. So rather than dig up the sewer main and replace it, which is...
How much is that? $6,000?
No, it's probably $12,000. Have it done. What I did was there's a poison you can put down the sewer main, so like it foams up and it kills all the roots. And then I bought a jetter, so it's just like basically a pressure washer for the sewer pipe. So you thread this hose down in there. It's got an end on it. It looks slightly phallic, but that's beside the point. And so you put like high pressure hot water down the sewer main. You wash everything down the pipe into the city tap. Now I own the machine. If you have to have it done professionally, it's $600-700. But yeah, the sewer main problems here are real.
So you did that?
I did
before
that.
Or after
No, I did
the
that.
problems?
I did that when the problem popped up. But I just had like
popped out. Really
literally
big.
Yeah, like a problem. I'm like, okay, cool. Everyone's got their fiber. That's awesome. But like it's the morning. But think about it, like it's the morning after Christmas. The plumber's not picking up.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm in Flagstaff with my family.
Like fuck.
Motherfucker.
No one's living there though, right?
Yeah. Fully occupied. Well, 3 out of 4 units. Just eating and drinking and doing whatever else they're doing. And you got to handle it. But yeah, so it was.
Do you manage your own properties?
Yeah, I manage everything. My whole deal is like, so I buy them and I fix everything right off the bat. So then you get like, I call it the honeymoon period. So you have like this beautiful 5 to 10 year period of time where nothing really goes wrong. You don't really need a manager. Nothing breaks, and the rent just rolls in.
Yeah, I like that. You just make sure like you foundation's strong, and then you're like.
But it costs. You can't be scared to spend the money up front to do everything. Like this fourplex. I mean, I'm gonna dump every bit of $70,000 into it. Like
70 or 7?
70.
Oh, okay.
But that's the sewer main's jetted. I rewired a bunch of stuff. Like that's a full solar system all over the roof, so I have free electricity. So I include.
Did it come with a solar system?
No.
You like solar systems?
I fucking love them.
Yeah.
Like, give you an example. So this place has one too.
But is it like, so it's free and clear solar?
Yeah, I pay cash.
I think that's the problem, right?
I pay cash for it. So for example, like this is my commercial building right now.
Cheers.
Yeah. But like right now, that's the commercial building. No one's there, and it's making electricity.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's money that APS is paying me.
So did you put this on the?
This is the office building.
And it came with it.
No, I built it and built it and installed it. So this is
You know how to build this thing?
Yeah. So this is Solar Edge. Like you buy the equipment and then you tie the inverter into the building's Wi-Fi system, so it talks to my phone.
So you care because you're paying electricity on these buildings.
Yeah. So what I do is include like the commercial building. I do what's called gross lease, which is like they're small suites. I'm like this suite costs $815 a month. That includes Wi-Fi, power, water, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then the apartments, what I'm doing is renting them out with AC, heat, and hot water included.
Okay.
So I put tankless water heat and then mini split air conditioners in, which are super energy efficient, and then power all that with solar.
The mini split air conditioners you don't. That's powered by solar?
Yeah.
Because it has to have some sort of power source.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I do, and they're super efficient, right? Like a mini split draws about a third of what your hairdryer takes.
Are the mini splits, are those like the things you see in the windows?
No, so a mini split, there's like a box up on the wall with a little digital display, and then the compressor unit's about the size of a suitcase.
Okay.
But like, not to bore you with nerd stuff, like let's say like your home, the AC is on like a 50 amp breaker, mini splits are on a 15, and they draw like 6.8 amps on full tilt.
Wow, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So wait, versus like an air conditioning.
Which is probably drawing 40 amps.
And what's the other one?
6.8.
So it's less energy.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and so what I do is I include, is like, especially with the lower end housing, if you get into any of this stuff, is that most of these families can, like, they have money coming in every month, but what fucks with them are the swings, right? So like, for you and
like
me, like,
electricity or something?
like if your power bill's $300, you're annoyed, but
Or you can do it.
you just deal with it.
Yeah.
A $300 power bill to someone who doesn't make a lot of money is a big fucking deal.
For sure.
So you can actually charge way more in rent if you give them predictability. It's like, listen, $12.50 a month is going to cover your AC, your heat. Like the only electricity you pay for is the lights and the stove.
Yeah.
So I pay hot water, AC, and heat, and they are lining the fuck up to rent.
To live there, over here,
Yeah.
or just like in general. You used to have lower income?
Everywhere I've tried, yeah. So it's like the building would technically qualify for Section 8, which I haven't tried yet. But the rates that people will pay.
How much are you getting for each unit over there?
So like a 2-bedroom, I just put the one I'm finishing up right now. I have it at $12.40 a month, and like it used to be at $6.20.
Yeah, you just doubled it.
And so I literally doubled the rent, and I got people being like, "When's the next one available?"
Yeah. Is that area? That area I feel like is being cleaned up, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot.
When I first moved here, I lived actually over on 68th Street, over by like across from Colonial Grand, over Osborne and Taunton.
Yeah.
Or no, Osborne and 68.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
Over in that little, I can't remember
Wait,
what the place is.
Ciento?
I think so. No, those are shit. I actually almost bought those.
Yeah.
Bought one of those, but I'm like, oh,
So,
they're so bad, and now they're like,
So Jesse bought one of those way back in the day. He made a fucking fortune.
like what, like 90 grand?
No, like 60 or 70.
Yeah, when I was looking, because I wanted to buy something, I'm in that complex, I was in the complex, like, next to it.
Okay.
And I wanted to buy something there, and I was like set on it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not. And then like my Los Santo was like 60 grand, 70 grand.
Yeah, they were cheap.
And I was like, these are fucking shitholes. I'm not buying one. And now
Yeah.
I'm like calling people like, hey, can I please buy your condo over in Los Santo? I'm like, do it.
Yeah, it's funny how it works.
Yeah.
But no, that area.
But that area is definitely.
So,
been.
where all the fourplexes are is called either Oasis Plaza or Holiday Park, and it's predominantly a Hispanic area.
Is it there?
Yeah, so behind the Circle K.
Okay.
And that's where both my properties are, and
I like
love,
that area.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to buy a multifamily over there. I just like driving through. You're just like, I just see like dollar signs.
I got my ass kicked. So the last one was 2 duplexes on one piece of property, $618 a door rent roll, and I put in a full price offer, and it went for over asking price cash.
Damn, I bet.
And I just said, you can have it.
Yeah.
So I'm working on I'll do an off-market deal there. I cut my agent loose doing mailers and calling people.
You're doing that?
Yeah, because I know the building that I want. It's the one next to mine. and then I'll worry about the next one after that. But I'm gonna be out of money.
I have money.
What?
I have money sitting in my bank account.
Cool. I do too now, but after I buy another apartment, I'm not going
Yeah.
to.
Do you try to like? Well, no, because you use financing. Do you leverage a lot?
I'm at 80. Well, so my goal is I buy deep enough and renovate enough where I try to be about 50% LTV by the time the product is done and ready to go to market.
That's good.
So far, I've been able to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 20% down, 80% finance on the purchase.
Nice.
But multi is cool because you can force the price up or down by what you do. Like, so when you learn how to math, or if you want to learn how to math, like you.
I do want to learn how to math. In this case, yes.
So like, multifamily right now in Scottsdale has very low cap rates. So there's an inverse relationship between cap rates and then NOI versus equity. So NOI is net operating income. So like if we have this apartment, right, and you own it, and it's running at a 6 cap, at a 6, like, you know, like when you take a number and you divide it by a smaller percentage, it gets really big.
Yeah.
Okay? So imagine that concept, like a 6% cap rate, if you're able to increase the net operating income of the property, you're dividing it by that little bitty number, and so the equity goes boom.
Okay.
But the higher the cap rate, so like a 10 cap,
Yeah.
with a 4% increase in NOI, is about half of what a 6 cap at a 4% NOI.
You're gonna have to like
increase.
write this down for me. 'Cause
Yeah, we can
it's
do.
interesting. Can we bring a
do-
whiteboard?
Yeah, we can like just write on the beer cooler.
Yeah.
But it's
work,
all
actually.
about, like, you can literally force appreciation on these properties. Like, okay, I paid $399. I want it to be worth $650. I know exactly what I have to do to make it worth $650 in this environment. It's literally just do these 5 things, get the spreadsheet here, and it's worth $650. No
Well,
questions
so what are
asked.
you doing? Like fixing a couple things up, changing
So,
rents?
major reno, rents go up. Solar energy on every single one. So I use,
You're like super gun ho about selling
yeah.
solar
So
energy.
I do solar to juice yields,
Yeah.
right? Because I know how to build it for 25 cents on the dollar. Like if you just called up a company like, yo, I want some solar, they're gonna charge you $4.50 a watt installed.
It's margin play. It's all margin.
That's all margins.
Yeah. The one margin that you typically
So-
you could never control is energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can drive margin.
Now,
that's what- yeah, that's what
now
you
I
were
can
saying,
now
too,
I can
yeah.
profit off energy.
Yeah.
The interesting part though is that there's a law in Arizona to where landlords are not allowed to mark up power bills.
Landlords
right.
are not allowed to mark up power bills.
So in other words, let's say you bought a 10-unit building with 1 meter.
Okay.
Like my commercial is 1 meter. So what I'm not allowed to do is take the power bill, split it in 8 ways for each suite,
Okay.
and mark it up 10%. That's
People,
illegal
yeah, well, that sounds kind of fucked up. Like, why would you do that?
because I have to pay the fucking bill and their tenants.
Yeah, but so you're
Yeah.
taking the time to do it? Like people
No,
that,
so I'm not. So the workaround is I
But-
put solar on the building,
yeah.
figured out what the power bills were, basically wrote myself an investment ROI on the solar, and put that into the rent. I'm like,
Okay.
no questions asked. This room is this much money to rent with the power included. The end.
But my question is, why do people add 10%? Just because they're just want more money, so they just do it?
Yeah. Well, they
So
tried.
it's like unethical.
It's
Thank you.
and illegal. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, what? There's just a workaround. So, same with the fourplex. So there were 5 meters on the building. Call APS. I'm like, hey, I want a master meter of the building and put solar. And they go, illegal. You can't do that. All right, cool. Back to the drawing board. I'm like, all right, here's what I can do. I can offer apartments in Arizona with heating and cooling and hot water included. It's not power. I'm not selling you power.
It's hot.
All I'm including is heating and air and hot water. It's just a service.
And they have to get it like electricity. To power
They
the
have their
lights.
own power. They have their own power meter, which powers the lights, the fans, and the stove. But I cover heating, cooling, and hot water, and so then it's up to me where I get that energy, right? So I could buy it from APS, or since I know how to do solar, I install the solar system. I have free energy for life.
That's crazy. So how much is like on the commercial building? How much did that cost you?
I'm in that system for probably about 13, 14 grand.
And
it
so
would-
out of the like the lifespan of however like how much money will that?
That'll be about a 2.5 to 3 year payback,
Yeah,
and then it's all profit.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if I'd have paid a company to install it, so I have 8.5 kilowatts on the roof. Going rate is about $4 a kilowatt, or $4 a watt. So 8.5 times 4,000. What's that? 30. That's 38 grand.
That's crazy. So did you teach yourself this just to learn how to like do it on this stuff?
mean, if I told you you had to learn something and it would pay you 25 grand the next time you did it, would you learn it?
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
That's what I thought, right? Like, I enjoy construction. Like, I love working with my hands and like building stuff and learning new nerd construction stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's cool too because you're actually like putting that on your property, so you
Yeah.
like created that.
And it's, you know,
It's-
literally
and
like
it's,
I have an app on
paying
my
you
phone.
back.
They're like, you made
That
money
is
from making
that's
yesterday.
awesome. That's super cool. Yeah.
So, but that's kind of the business model that I'm using moving forward is affordable housing in Scottsdale, solar power, energy efficiency, because everyone just eats it out.
Yeah.
And they'll pay a premium for it.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me feel good. Like, I got a little bit of dirty hippie in me. So I'm like, cool, no fossil fuels. Like we can cut the natural gas service off at the $4. Like, no one needs gas
That's cool.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's all solar power.
That's awesome.
So, we'll see. Or I fall flat on my face in a couple of years.
You'll be fine.
Who knows?
You'll figure a way out of it.
Yeah. I'll be
You'll
mooching.
build something
I'll be
out.
mooching beers and popcorn off you. Like,
Mirror.
remember
Yeah.
when I put you on that podcast?
Hey, I'm like, who the fuck is
I need like 2 beers and some popcorn.